All right, hello everybody. Welcome to the What's New call. We do this on Fridays about 12:30 or so. And today I wanted to go over the new language. This is the terms that Duane, the great writer, has brought forth or presented and shared with us that relates to the true reality life is, as opposed to, or in comparison to the other words like soul or spiritual path or these other terms, which are very vague and are very paintbrush like. They relate to a lot of things, and so I wanted to share some of them and go over them as well. I got a few written down here, and if Val, if you want to comment on them as well. The first one I wanted to talk about is real survival. You know, real survival. This is the way that I perceive real survival, is that real survival is beyond creation, that real survival is being supported by life, is because you look at the spiritual paths and they look for enlightenment. They want to be enlightened or come in contact with their higher self or whatever the idea is, or the religious groups look for salvation as their form of survival. But what Duane talks about is a real survival, that which is out of creation and not limited by cause and effect or karma. And so Duane, Val, you have anything to say?
Yeah, Duane talks about the is, its main concern is survival, its own survival, and we're part of that survival. So yeah, it is more than like the people who stockpile guns and food and the preppers and all that, for sure. It's a lot more than that. It's like you say, it covers the whole of creation. And what happens when you pass over and you lose the physical body? If you're not prepared for that, you could be disoriented and not know where you are, and most likely you get to come back here anyway. And in terms of survival, well, there's better things for you to be doing than coming back here, but it's your choice. But no, it encompasses so much more, the real survival, than just the physical body. Yeah.
Thank you. And the next one I wanted to go over was real awareness, your real awareness. And I actually heard Duane, I was watching a little video that he shared. He said, well, the soul is the real awareness, but the real awareness more defines that term, because soul is like, people say like, oh, I have a soul. You know, it's like, okay, well, where is it? You know, what is that? You know, what is that? So the real awareness has the is in there, because the focus is always the is, regardless, for me personally. But I see that in there as well. But the real awareness is that, in that free being of real light, which is beyond creation, which steers your five bodies in creation and animates them. And so that's a position of real survival, standing in that real awareness in which you're supported by life. There's no phenomena created on your end.
Yeah, when people talk about awareness and you say, well, we're about becoming more aware, they usually say, well, I am aware, you know. Aware what? Well, again, they're limited in terms of their awareness to like usually one-dimensional viewpoint. And what we're offering and presenting is an opportunity to go more past that into a bigger viewpoint. All we are is a viewpoint. So it's really about recognizing what is happening, what's going on within and without you, you could say. And that's the awareness that can be expanded upon and not just limited to the one-dimensional reality that most people are used to. And even on the real side, it's almost like a one-dimensional, in its own way, reality, because creation is still limited in its very nature. So awareness goes beyond creation, which is really cool. You can get beyond creation and have the best of both worlds, you could say. They're not places, but it comes down to recognition.
And another one that stuck out to me, which I actually wrote down, is the real side, because I actually noticed I have that habit too, or I'll refer to my real side experiences as dreams. But that word dreams carries a lot, at least for me, in the way that I see people in my environment or personal environment use it, is that these dreams are just dreams. People write off dreams or they don't listen to dreams. So I could see why there's a need for the real side, the new term, because the dream carries a lot of that reference that, oh, it's just make believe, kids dream, or kids just imagine things or whatever the idea is, with a lot of the one dimensionalized, very literalized people, that they don't see that it's all here and now. It's the real side. The real side is here and now with us, as life is an isness.
Yeah, the dreams are more relating to the personal self, and the real side is a broader viewpoint of things. And all these terms are just new references to new ways of looking at things. That's why we do have the new terms, because the old terms refer to the old ideas, and these are brand new concepts, ideas for you to consider, for people that want to go beyond their restrictions.
And then the last one that I wanted to go over was just the word, the all is. Could you describe that, Val?
All is all is. It encompasses everything, and all of everything. So what can anybody say about that? You can only just hint, demonstrate, point, reference, and even just, who knows? You know, the real guides seem to have recognized and experienced this reality. We here are just learning how to do that, and how to be come to a relationship with it. But it's a very interesting reality, because it doesn't exist, it cannot exist, cannot possibly exist. So how do you relate to something like that? It can't really exist for the personal self. I'm saying it can't really exist, because the personal self cannot relate to it. But you can relate to the references with the personal self. But the recognition of the reality has to be with your real awareness. And that's the challenge here, is to just perceive this reality and for what it is. And again, most people try to add things to it, add their own creations to it, ideas, etc. So this is an isness. It's like up to us to stand real with it, because it's already perfect, it's already finished. We're just relating to it somehow. We're not adding to it. You can't add to it. You can't have an idea about it, because that's not it. You hear Duane talking about it, and it just says, it's not it. Everything you consider about it, it's not it. It's not it. It's not it. So what is it? What is it? Well, again, I stepped into this idea of, like, you dream your way to it. I like that. For me, that works. You dream your way to the is. Because that's, for me, it's more real that way. It's not a literal interpretation or a knowledge base, or even in a way, the creative part, the imagination part is the step, but it's still, you got beyond that, even the imagination, into a point of where it kind of shows itself to you. You don't even do anything in a way. It just, to me, it just kind of comes from the back of my head, on the right side here, just kind of these impressions. And whether that's the is or not, but it's some sort of recognition I get that's not mental. And I wouldn't even call it intuitive. It's just kind of an aha moment, but not really even that. It's just like, it's just there. And see, if you try to explain it, even, you just lose it. You can't do that. So it's just something that you perceive and then you relate it to other people through images or whatever, words, or you try to, but it's nothing you can really communicate directly. And that's why the real guides stand together, and that's why we support each other, because that's how it becomes alive for us, through this support for each other. That's like the reality demonstrated when we support each other, and it becomes demonstrated, and you can better see it, better perceive it. And my favorite saying is, it's never what you think it is. It's never what you think it is. You know, you think, oh, it's always brand new. It's new now all the time. It's always a surprise, or you always got to keep up with it. It's so cool the way it is. It's always fresh and new, pure, sincere. Just wonderful, wonderful stuff.
Thanks, Val. I like what you said. You said dream your way to the is. For me, I always look at my dreams or real side experiences in my imagination sort of in hand, because ever since I was little, I've always had a really fluid like imagination. I was always able to see like these wonderful things in my imagination. I'd always, whatchamacallit. So the way that it works for me is when I read Duane's books and I read references to the is, I push my imagination past what it is that I think is possible or whatever. So I just try to perceive these, and sometimes they don't come. Sometimes it's like, I can't see it. I can't make it out, you know, because you can't consider it.
Well, you said something interesting. Yeah, you push it past your imagination into the impossible. And Duane talks about that. Aspire to something impossible. I mean, get beyond yourself. I mean, whatever's impossible to you, go for it in a way. If that motivates you to see more, because most people are drugged down by boring lives and images and desires. I mean, basically, it's kind of a drudgery, or it can be creation. But the impossible is like kicks in this aspect within you to like use everything you got, creativity, imagination, insight, intuition, everything to perceive this impossible, whatever you have go, you know. And from there, you just keep going. It's always another step. You can't never reach the end here, but yeah, aspire to something impossible. Use that as a motivator for you. I look at Duane and what he's doing. We won't go into it in too much detail, but what he's doing with the world and what he sees as possibilities here with the world and even the whole of creation. I mean, read his books and come to our groups, and you'll see that there's a lot going on here in the preparation for something that's really pretty far out stuff.
Yes, and there are many Facebook groups available to read and see the many viewpoints. There's we do Real to Real, there's the Kisa Penny Show, and there's the various many groups that Duane has created where he gives his view on certain aspects, and those are very informative. I can't remember them offhand, but they're fun to read. They're fun to consider because it pushes me past of what I could consider, instead of being like, why I know it. I'm convinced that this is it, because that's not it. The last little thing here that I wanted to talk about was the indifferent view. Have you heard of that, Val? The indifferent view?
The indifferent viewpoint? Yeah.
That's what I wanted to talk about. The last little thing here real quick is that, and I'll relate it to real side experiences that I've had where I am just a viewpoint. Whether that's my real awareness standing, I don't have a body, emotions, thoughts, sensations, it's nothing. I'm just viewing things objectively. And it's kind of like an overview, and I'm just looking. But as soon as I make a consideration about the event that's taking place, whether, oh, they moved or they did this a certain way or some kind of any kind of consideration, I'm in a body form because that's a created thing instead of standing in different view. So it's a very, in a way, I kind of look at that as its own razor's edge, that indifferent view, because it, we've dealt with the personal self so long that it's easy to think and decide things rather than being indifferent.
It's almost a secret to this. It's a secret to, it's the indifference that you that naturally have, because the personal self is not indifferent. It has attitudes, it has all this stuff. And the real self is indifferent to the personal self, really. Even through all the suffering, the pain, the good times, everything, it's indifferent as it looks on, but that's really the key. Indifference, but not you're so detached that you don't care. You still have the compassion and caring for everything, for creation and the people, what they're going through, but it's the ability to be able to stand back from it and do what needs to be done. Because when you get so involved and immersed in it, sometimes you get pulled into these attachments, relationships, and things that are that cause you to not survive as well as you could. But if you're indifferent, you just get the job done, and you still have these things, but you can pull away from them or enjoy them. But you have the ability to opportunity, the options, more options in the greater aspect of things. Good.
All right. Well, I appreciate you being here, Val. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Talk to you
Thanks
soon.
for having
Bye-bye.
me. Okay, bye.